6, I would say for primary 6 wise, it's very similar to primary 5. Okay, so in primary 5, most students they struggle because they don't know how to solve fractions, ratio, and percentage questions. But the rest of the chapters are more or less quite similar to primary 4. Okay, but when they go to primary 6, they're expected to master fractions, ratio, and percentage, because in primary 6 they also have fractions, ratio, and percentage, but with much harder questions and combined with statistics like pie chart. Okay, so fractions percentage ratio is more or less the same. Okay, finding the relation. Later I'll show you some examples of the questions that will be asked for primary 6. Yeah. Okay, and on top of that, for percentage wise, the only difference is this time around, they are expected to know whether there's a percentage increase or percentage decrease. Okay, and for percentage questions, students are also expected to know that which is the 100%. So let's say, for example, today they are asked a question, shop A sells this good, let's say this bag 30% cheaper than shop B. So students must know that shop B is the 100%, because if whichever shop, okay, is the one that is more than or less than, that's never the 100%. Okay, so if they say shop A sells the bag 30% higher than shop B, so shop B is the 100% and your shop A will be 130%. If they say shop A sells the bag 30% lower than shop B, then shop A is 70% and shop B is 100%. So students are expected to know which is the percentage, which is the 100%. If they cannot identify that, highly likely the entire steps thereon will be wrong. So they won't get marks for that question as well. Okay, so in primary school, before I move on, okay, in primary school, we are rather strict with the marking, especially for problem solving. Okay, but of course, apart from only giving the final answer, steps are supposed to be shown. Okay, sometimes when we see correct methods used, we will still give method mark, okay, to help the students boost their marks. Okay, so if the let's say the methods used are correct, so correct method, but the final answer is wrong, probably because they key in the wrong number into their calculator, or they have like some careless mistakes. Okay, so we don't give them the answer marks, but we will still allocate method marks for them. Okay, so apart from fractions, percentage, and ratio, the very first chapter that they will learn in primary 6 is algebra. Okay, this algebra, I will say, is like a foundation to prep them for secondary school. Okay, because in Singapore, for math especially, the foundation of primary math is timetable. Okay, so we deal with a lot of factors, multiples, and we use that to counter questions in fractions, percentage, ratio. Okay, but in secondary school, we use a lot of algebra to solve for questions. Okay, algebra is mainly everything in secondary school. I would say it's like about 50% of it or slightly more. Okay, so we teach students algebra in primary 6, but the percentage of algebra in exams is not as high as fractions, ratio, and percentage. Yeah, okay, so I'll show you some examples of algebra questions that they will ask. Okay, so for example, this is the first example of algebra questions. Very straightforward. Okay, so students must be able to understand that unknowns are used in questions like this. And for students who cannot grasp the concept of unknown, school teachers will usually ask them to sub certain numbers in. So let's say, for example, if P is 5, then like 5 plus 4 muffins on Monday, then he sold, let's say, 10 muffins, 10 more muffins on Tuesday. So they will use this substitution method as well as model drawing to help them with certain algebra questions. Okay, so I'll show you some other examples of how we put real life phenomenon, okay, into mathematical questions in primary school. Okay, so for example, we look at this table. Okay, if you consume 43 meter cube of water a day, okay, this is like putting whole numbers together with volume, okay, and also rate, okay, combining many different chapters together to test. Okay, then they say ask how much does he need to pay. So they need to know that the first 20 meter cube is at $1.50. So the first step they need to do is to take 150 times 20. Then after that, take the difference, take 43 minus away 20 to find the remaining 23 meter cube, and then multiply by $2 per meter cube, and then they add the numbers together. Okay, so it's very important in primary school that they need to label. Okay, we apply to real world concept. Okay, and these are the harder percentage and fractions questions that I will advise students to use ratio model to go and solve. Okay, because if of course you can also use percentage to solve, but it really depends on whether the students can comprehend. Okay, so I would say in primary school, there are a lot of different methods to solving math questions. Okay, so I've even encountered students who don't even need to draw model and everything, they just solve everything in their head. Then they just write certain steps down and they get the final answer. Okay, so there are students like this, but I don't advise them to just solve things in their head. They still have to show some workings in order to get the method marks. Okay, so there are many different ways to solving math questions in primary school. Okay, so whichever way that give you the correct method. Okay, there are many different methods. So any correct method, the teachers in school will also accept. So teachers in school, they will just mark accordingly to any correct method. But sometimes students may get the final answer because of methods that are wrong. But the teachers will also mark accordingly. Probably give them like a final answer mark, but no marks for method marks. Okay, so y'all can read through this question. Yeah, so for example, like red, blue, white, green, there are many different colors in here. So after the percentage of red stickers increase by 60%. So increasing by 60%, they are supposed to change this to 60% to become like 3/5 and then apply the ratio method to solve for this. Okay, I don't have any further examples on all this because it's really very lengthy, and I guess, yeah, within one session is a little bit hard for me to touch on so many of this. So I'm just doing a quick sharing on the kind of questions that will be asked in primary school. Yeah, so I'm going to move on to give you a lot more examples. Okay, I actually have quite a few examples for questions like this. Okay, like 60% apples and all. Okay, so move on more. So these are like area. Okay, area and parameter questions that involve ratio as well. And for here, remember previously I mentioned to you about the overlap portion. Students must be able to identify that the overlap portions is actually added twice in certain ratios. So they need to take it off, like minus it away from whatever numbers that they need to find to do to get the shaded part. Okay, so a lot of visualization abstraction is required in questions like this. Okay, and then these are some additional examples of fraction questions. Okay, as you can see, the marks there is like 3 marks, right? 3 marks questions are usually the easier questions. The harder questions in section C are usually 4 or 5 marks. Yeah, so there are, okay, let's say students, they do very well in their in paper 1. Paper 1, the maximum score will be probably 45 marks in total. So, yeah, I think it's around there, like 45 marks in total. So even if they do very well for paper 1, they don't do well for paper 2, they still don't get the achievement level, the good grades that they are that's supposed to lead them to certain schools. Okay, I would say on average, Singapore school, if you want to get into okay, for secondary school wise, after primary 6, they will take this PSLE, which is a primary school leaving examination. So if they want to get into schools that takes the express streams, which is like 4 years in secondary school, then thereafter they can go to high school like polytechnics or junior college. Okay, they have to score a maximum of 20 points, maximum of 20 points. Okay, and for 20 points itself, let's say if you get the bare minimum score, is 65 for each subject. So there will be 4 subjects in total that will be tested in primary school leaving examination, which is like English, math, science, and their mother tongue. So each of them have to score 65 to 74 to minimally to achieve aggregate of 5. Okay, aggregate 1 is 90 to sorry, I think it's 90 or 91 to 100. It's around there. Yeah, so for most schools, if they want to get into I would say a decent secondary school, it will be around 12 points. Decent express course around 12 to 16 points. Yeah, so most students, if they fall below the 65 range, they will be prepared to take to enter normal academic stream or even normal technical stream, which may take them 4 to 5 years of secondary school time. Yeah. Okay, so next up, I'll touch on area and volume. Okay, so for area and volume, right, apart for doing the usual cube, we start on circles as well. Okay, so for circles wise in primary school, the pi will always be given unless they say leave your answer in pi. Okay, if not, they will tell you pi is 22/7 or pi is 3.14. Okay, but they have the scientific calculator. So if they deal with like big numbers or decimals, the calculator can actually come in handy, provided that they key in correctly. Okay, then for volume of cube and cuboid, okay, for this portion, the area and volume, they are expected to find, let's say, the height. Let's say, for example, they have like two different beakers. Uh, they have two different beakers, and then let's say you add water into beaker A, and then you drain water out from, add water into tank A, and then drain water out from tank B. And eventually they will reach the same height. Then they will ask, what's the height where they will reach eventually? That's the kind of question that they will be asking in primary 6. Okay, so these are questions where students will apply algebra to help them solve. Okay, yeah, so they also learn about cube roots and square roots. And then for geometry wise, they learn about special quadrilaterals. Okay, so it's quite similar to those isosceles triangles and all in primary 5. Okay, and statistics wise will be data analysis. So remember previously I shared like fractions, ratio, and percentage. This time around, all these 3 chapters will be included in a pie chart. Okay, so they will be included in a pie chart where they are supposed to apply angles. They are supposed to apply fractions, ratio, and percentage to help them solve for that one very question. Okay, so some examples in here. These are some examples of a circle question. So the pi will be given, and then they are supposed to find the shaded part. Okay, and they must also identify that which one is what's the angle of each unshaded part, let's say. Okay, so let's say, for example, this 3 parts add up to a quarter of a circle, which means they must know that 1/4 of the circle is 1/4 of the circle is 90 degrees. Okay, and each of this angle for the shaded portion is 30. So from there on, they are supposed to find the parameter of the shaded portion by using a proration, like like 90 out of 360, which is to be able to identify that 1/4 of a circle is the parameter of the shaded portion. But parameter have to add in the radius as well. So they also need to identify that. Yeah. Okay. And then previously we talked about nets. Okay, this kind of question, right, is found in primary 6, but actually primary 5 students are already dealing with questions like this. Okay, in primary 5, they are expected to be able to count the number of cubes in questions like this. Okay, then they are expected to shade or draw the side view, top view, front view, or back view. And then there are also questions in primary 6, for example, asking, let's say I want to change how many more cubes I need to add to this figure in order to make it into a perfect cube. So for example, what's the minimum number of cubes I need to add? So they need to know that it's like there are four cubes in front and then 2 cubes at the side, 2 cubes for height. So they want to change this into a 4 by 4 by 4 bigger cube. So then they have to add the number of cubes accordingly. Okay. So these are some angles questions. Okay, in Singapore, they like to do overlap, folding, things that requires a lot of thinking, a lot of visualizing, a lot of abstraction. Yeah, so they like to fold pages, they like to overlap questions. Yeah, so as long as students get the gist of questions like this, I guess it's more or less okay. So these are some other examples of circle questions that they'll be dealing with. Sometimes they will even give like, there's this car traveling from like one point to another. Okay, how many times did the wheels rotate? So they will ask things like this. So they must be able to identify the circumference that the distance moved is actually based on the number of circumference of each wheel. Okay, and they also need to know is actually like where it actually starts from as well. Okay, so remember just now I mentioned to you about the height. Okay, so what is the height of the water in B if we pour in and so? Okay. Okay, so these are some examples of the pi questions. Okay, so pi involving angles, involving percentage as well as fractions. Okay, they combine many different chapters into statistics and ask them to solve. This question is a section A question in primary 6. So consider an easier question in primary 6. Okay, so any additional questions that you all want to ask me? Hold on, let me just take a look at.
The percentage of students in this fifth class, fifth grade, sixth grade, how many percentage of students are doing good at maths?
Doing
Because
good
that
in
what,
math. I was
yeah, yeah.
seeing on a national record, okay, every year after primary school leaving examination, they will show the percentage of students who successfully pass and get into secondary school. So it's about 90 something percent, is a high 90, about 96, 99% who actually managed to get into secondary school. But the thing is, doing well in math is a very wide range, okay, because in Singapore we emphasize um a lot of how should I say? Okay, in Singapore itself, apart from school, most Singaporean parents they would want to send their kids to tuition lessons, okay, in order to catch up with the school curriculum. And there are times where during the school holidays or so parents will also send students to like crash course and for like tuition camps, things like this. So I would say in general, Singaporean students, we are still quite okay with all these things because a lot of help is given. So let's say, for example, okay, for people who are not so well-to-do, they couldn't send for tuition classes. Okay, we have a lot of self-help group. Like personally, for myself, I used to volunteer with the Chinese Development Assistant Council. So students who don't do well from primary 4 onwards, who don't have a good family background who can send them for tuition lessons like this, they actually seek help from different communities. And there are a lot of volunteers like me who are teachers from special needs schools and volunteers with different professions. We actually come down to volunteer and tutor them individually to help them with their grades. Yeah, so I believe in Singapore there's a lot of help given. So though the questions and all are difficult, I don't see the passing rate being low because nationally it's around 96%. Yes.
Yeah, so it is very much fascinating to me that there are some help groups, like personal help groups. So where teachers like you voluntarily teach the kids who are unable to pay for the tuitions. So could you expand on that? How these voluntary groups work, and are they offline or online? So how you people reach the kids there to help them to do better maths?
Okay,
I think
because I have been a volunteer for 9 years and I actually left volunteering because I moved in a different stage in life because I got married and I have children. Yeah, so I couldn't commit my time to volunteering anymore. So I actually stopped volunteering before COVID, which was in 2017. And that was after I volunteered for 9 years. Yeah, so thereafter, they do have online lessons like Zoom. Okay, from what I heard from my fellow volunteers who actually stayed behind and continue teaching. Yeah, so of course now after COVID, I mean COVID is still existing. Okay, but the thing is, we do more of a physical lessons now. So I guess is students will actually receive much more help as compared to online teaching. Mm.
So I think you are using much of this online Zoom technology to reach more people, more kids.
In a way, yes, it is very helpful. Technology definitely helps, but when it comes to math, I would say only the stronger students can learn online. For
Okay.
the weaker ones, they still need physical lessons. Yeah.
So there are some more questions from my side. You have said like section A, section B, and section C, where the section C questions will be tougher.
Mm.
So how much time you give for the kids to solve those problems? Say, for example, as there are very much tougher questions, do they give more time for them to solve the questions?
Okay, for sections, okay, in primary 5 and primary 6, they actually split the paper into two different papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Okay, so for paper 1 itself, it should be done within an hour. Let me just do a quick check because um I always tell students when they deal with math, the amount of time that is given, right, may be more than the amount of time that they are expected. Okay, so how I told my students how many marks you see that particular question is, that's the amount of time that you need to spend on that question. Yes, because let's say you see a 3 mark question, you should only spend 3 minutes on that question. So the
Oh,
amount of time, if you base on this, is more than enough for you to complete if you follow this strictly, it's more than enough time for you to complete the paper as well as to do some checking. If I never recall wrongly, it should be 1.5 hours, 1 hour and 30 minutes for paper 2, which is about 17 questions. And for paper 1 itself is should be about 1 hour and 15 minutes. Yeah. But usually I will tell students the number of marks, you take the amount of time. So for paper 1 is a 45 marks paper. So I expect student to finish the paper within 45 minutes. Yeah. And then
okay.
of course time will be used to do checking also. Yes.
Yeah, I have
So
two more questions.
yes.
What are the methods you make the kids to learn tables from 1 to 20?
For this timetable wise, okay, this will be everything, okay, from 1 to 10. Okay, so I won't ask student to memorize anything in white. Okay, anything in white, don't memorize, don't need to. Okay, so let's say for example for 1 times table, there's no need for memorizing because it's just the same number. So students in primary 2, they would have already learned 2 times table, 3 times table, and 4 times table. And for students who are not strong, they will use the consistent method. They will just keep adding numbers. Okay. In Singapore, we do a lot of practice. Okay, so a lot of drills to help students remember, to memorize the timetable accordingly. Yeah. So for 2, I would say is like most Singaporean students, they don't face difficulties for 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5 is like quite okay. For 6, 7, and 8, they face difficulties because of these numbers here. Okay, so let's say for example, if they don't know what's a 6 times 5, but they know what's a 5 times 6, it works the same way. So they will just memorize like one thing. If they cannot remember, they'll just keep doing the addition method. They'll just keep adding until they get the number. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. This method is good, like not to remember the white boxes, uh,
Yeah,
only
correct.
shaded one. That's
Mm.
yeah.
So
So yeah, as a teacher of primary school kid, so how you expect their parents to be, like how they want to be, how helpful they should be to learn the mathematics, and what is the role of the parent in understanding the mathematics?
okay, understand. To be honest, as a tuition teacher, most of the time where Singaporean parents they don't uh okay, how should I say? Okay, in Singapore, most people, I would say most people are okay. In Singapore, most families are dual income families. So most parents are actually working. They don't have much time to sit down and help students with homework, and that is where they will send students to tuition centers or get tuition teachers to assist the child with the work. Yeah, so of course, I myself as a parent, I believe accompaniment is very important. Okay, so most of the time, in Singapore, parents couldn't uh help out with the homework, and in fact, sometimes when parents who really like to sit down and help, when they approach like primary 5 or primary 6 math, they just stumble upon the questions because they read the questions and they couldn't understand the methods to solve for it. Yeah, and that's where they engage tuition teachers, and so yeah, so I I guess this is our trend in Singapore, like how students help to learn, like uh in school as well as also receive certain external help. Yes.
Yeah. So my questions are over, and have two requests to you. One thing is, could you please provide us these slides to us? You can send to Sumagaru so that we can get back all these slides which you have prepared for us to present. That
Yes.
is one request. Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Another request I have is, like, could you make, if in your free time, could you prepare one question paper for us, say for example fifth grade student, in your way, so that we can try in our schools to assess the assessment of mathematical abilities in our kids as compared to the Singapore kids.
Okay. To be honest, right? The questions that I crop out and show all of you are easily, readily available online. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm gonna share like some
Yes, yes, yes.
links. Okay, I'm gonna share some links with all of you because in Singapore, I guess most parents, if they don't engage tuition teachers, they will just get past year school papers from schools in Singapore. Okay, and students will just keep drilling on all these papers, and eventually, hopefully, they can score for their own school examinations. Okay, so all these questions are readily available. They have different sorry, not different chapters. They have different subjects from different
Okay.
schools in different years. Yeah, so I can share the link with Nandu or Suma. Yeah, so she can share it
Yeah.
with, yes.
That's
In terms of, like, say, mathematical Olympiads, or how good is mathematics in Singapore? Like, I mean, let's say compared to China. I mean, we all know that China is very strong in mathematics traditionally. So I just want to know, because whatever foundations you laid, they are more or less very similar to what we also teach in India, perhaps. But then, do you think that there is a kind of fundamental difference in the way that we teach mathematics and Chinese teach mathematics? Do you have any idea on that?
Okay, I used to have a student from whose parents are from China. So I would say their approach and methods will be way shorter, way faster as compared to Singapore method, like the modern method and all. But of course, when it comes to certain questions, their methods will not work. Yeah, so that particular student of mine, she's just one of the example who just look at the question without drawing a model with very few simplified steps. She can get the final answer with the correct steps. Okay, so I believe probably her parents taught her certain methods which they learn in China, let's say. Okay, but when it comes to certain questions, they still will fall back to certain concepts. So I will not say like whose method is better, but as in it will be good to know that there are certain methods out there where if you really don't know, you can still fall back to it. Okay, I will say that math is more like how to solve questions in a more simplified way. So if their methods is easier and can solve faster, I encourage my students to follow that particular method. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
do you think that it is the cultural background? I mean, do you think language is a barrier? As you said that math, science, and other subjects are taught in English in Singapore. I don't know whether it is taught in the native language in China, or also it is taught in English. So do you think that it is a barrier for the
Um,
abilities of children to become like, super successful in mathematics and things like that?
Okay, I will say because Singapore's primary language is still English. Okay, though we learn mother tongue. Okay, so like I also know my Chinese and different races they learn their different mother tongues. But because our primary language is still English, so I believe in China they teach in Chinese. Okay, teach in Chinese. In Taiwan, let's say they also teach in Chinese. Okay, so in Singapore, we emphasize on a lot of English language, the building the foundation of English, like grammars and all, since primary school. In fact, since kindergarten. Okay, so probably the strength of Singaporean when it comes to solving math questions in English is fine. Yeah, but in Chinese probably not. So there won't be like we are much better than whoever. I won't say is like based on that, but if the question is asked in English, then probably we'll have like advantage to it. Yeah. And I won't say that Singaporeans are very successful. We are just fortunate and thankful that our primary language is English, and thankful for the change, to make English the primary language, to give us a strong footing in the world. So I won't call us successful. It's just how we grow up, so yeah, just thankful, that yeah, yeah. So there's no like advantage or so, or over others. Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So any other questions?
I
Hi,
have a
sir.
couple of questions. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I can.
it's clear.
Oh, do the teachers have any role in curriculum design in Singapore, or is it everything is pre-decided? And secondly, in pre-primary, that is, we have 2 or 3 uh, uh, years spent before the first standard. Do they teach any maths there? What kind of maths is that? And thirdly, what are the teaching aids and what are the other curriculum?
They're asking about the kindergarten. Do the kids go to kindergarten, and in the kindergarten, do they learn any mathematics? If they learn, what exactly they learn before they enter into primary one? What the primary one teachers expects the child to know before they enter into primary one?
Okay, it's differently. Okay, let's say for example, my child's kindergarten, they have enrichment programs after the normal class time, which is after 5 o'clock. So they will ask parents whether they want to send the kids to like English enrichment class or math enrichment class. And in primary school, in preschool, we will try our very best to help them out with close to primary one related things. Okay, so for example, in school, they will learn addition, subtraction, the very basic ones. And they will learn how to read. They will learn more than, less than, fewer than, so that when they go to primary one, it will not be that difficult for them to transit into primary one. But of course, it doesn't apply to all kindergartens. I do know people who in kindergarten, they don't really understand that much. Then when they go to primary one, the students struggled initially, but thankfully most primary school teachers, most lower primary teachers, they are very patient. Okay, so they will go through lessons very slowly to make them understand the concept of fewer than, more than, and then this kind of drills and homework will also be given. There'll be a lot of homework given for certain schools, and then they will keep drilling the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, but the thing is, exams, there won't be any examination, so parents do not need to worry about children sitting for tests, but they just need to focus and make sure that the kid completes the homework. Yeah, so for preschool, certain preschool, they already prepare students, but certain preschool, they may prepare, but maybe the child hasn't developed that particular mind to understand the concept yet until they move on to primary school. Yeah, so it could also be a possibility. Yes. Did
Yeah,
I answer your question?
I would repeat my second question. That is, do the teacher has any role in curriculum design, or is it pre-decided?
For example, in the past, algebra wasn't included, and in order to keep up with the real world, okay, question syllabus topics are just getting harder, and just to prepare students for the future. Yeah, so I would say curriculum changes, and okay, because I'm a tutor, so I change my teaching and the topics that I will teach according to whatever syllabus that the ministry lays out for the school teachers. And teachers in school, they have certain curriculums to follow, and I believe they are given a set of things to teach, but how they want to present and how they consolidate the notes and make their lesson plans is all planned out by individual school teachers. They, unless maybe there's like a standard form that they can follow, but I highly doubt, because from my understanding, different schools have different teachings. Yeah, so there's only a clear curriculum given. Like, for example, students are expected to know certain things. So let's say, for example, just now my sharings, okay, like all this, like in primary 3, they need to learn measurement and geometry, and these are the certain points that the teachers need to let them know. And the teachers are expected to come up with their own lesson plan to teach certain things like this. Yeah. So different schools, they have different teachings. That's why because I encounter students from different schools, so they sometimes they will come back with, as in they will come to me with different formulas as well. So I won't say there's a fixed way, but they will touch on all these topics, but there's no fixed standard way where they will learn. It really depends on the school teacher. Yes.
And what is the average class strength, and how do you decide with remedial students and those who require some extra effort, those who are generally in backlog or something?
Oh,
It's
okay, primary 1 and primary 2, that there's no examination. So the class is like probably a strength of like 20 over students in class, okay, smaller groups. And it could go up to like 30 something students in class, okay, when they go to higher level. But of course, when the teacher teach higher levels, they have a slightly bigger class, bigger strength, okay, of students. But if they give tests on certain topics, okay, how teachers teach is in schools, they will always, okay, let's say for example today they go through chapter 1, 2, 3, then they will give a quiz. Okay, so whether this quiz is weighted or not will be dependent on the level. So primary 1 and 2 definitely not weighted, so they will just go back and try. So if the student doesn't answer the quiz that well, then they will probably be singled out, okay, and form smaller groups to relearn that particular topics again. So students will get to stay back after school for certain supplementary lessons or remedial lessons. Okay, so for students who do very well, they will just continue with the lesson flow, and then after school they can just go home. Yeah. So I believe this is one way where they help, okay, by giving certain quiz or tests to find out whether they understand. Yes.
Extra lesson. Like sometimes my daughter, like if she feels some topic she couldn't understand, catch up, even though she is not in the regular remedial class, she can go and ask the teacher that she need extra help for that particular topic or lesson, and the teachers will provide. It's like every day the teachers will be having long days, one or the other child will be asking extra help for them.
Test to find out whether they understand. Yes.
okay, thank you, madam.
Even
Yeah.
if the child asks, actually they will give extra lesson. Like sometimes my daughter, like if she feels some topic she couldn't understand, catch up, even though she is not in the regular remedial class, she can go and ask the teacher that she need extra help for that particular topic or lesson, and the teachers will provide. It's like every day the teachers will be having long days, one or the other child will be asking extra help for them.
Thank you so
the
much.
most the most stressful job in whole Singapore is teaching, especially
Yeah.
primary school teaching.
Yeah. So
Correct?
related
Am
to
I correct,
this,
Cadient teacher? And the tuition teacher is also the same.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe there are more stressful jobs out there because I actually on just a fun fact to share. Okay, in there there was this article on the Chinese newspaper. They put the first most stressful job in the world. That's the Chinese in the Chinese article that I read long ago. They put is pilot. That's the first most stressful job, and teacher is actually ranked third. Yeah, so it's just for laugh, you know. Yes, it's a good laugh. Yeah.
Comment like I hear that Singapore mathematics is topmost in the world. Even USA, UK, and other European countries are following the curriculum of, and they have included the curriculum of Singapore
Mm.
mathematics in their teaching methodology. So, especially primary school mathematics. So, my question is like, how much importance is given to the primary education in Singapore? Because what is happening worldwide, especially in India, the primary school education is most neglected one. Like people say always, there is not much to be concentrated on primary school education because anyhow they have to get higher grades only in the secondary or that terminal stage, 10th standard, something like.
Okay,
So how much you are emphasizing the importance of primary school in Singapore? That is
okay.
one question.
To be very honest with you, I believe Suma will also understand. As parents, the very first milestone is PSLE. So, parents
Yes.
actually put a lot of emphasis on primary school education, a lot more emphasis than secondary school. And personally, as a teacher, I agree that primary five or primary six math is much harder as compared to secondary school elementary math. But in secondary school, we also do additional math. And uh, honestly, what I told my primary school students, I always tell them is get over and done with it. Don't worry, secondary school will be a breeze because it will be much easier. Yeah, so this is what I always told my primary school students. And there's a lot of emphasis on primary school, definitely, because primary school is the foundation of everything. Okay, it's the foundation of everything. So personally, I strongly believe that if a child excels in primary school, it should be smooth sailing throughout. Yeah, it should be. Because primary school teaches, let's say for English, it teaches the basic foundation of grammar. Everything revolves around grammar. So if you know your grammar well, even you don't know some vocabulary words, you can still go into the working world and you can still present well. You know, you can still type out a report well with no errors, you know. So primary school is a foundation for mathematics because if you don't know your timetable well, when you go to secondary school, you'll face a lot of difficulties in algebra. So I would say, and for primary school science, is like the foundation of physics, chemistry, biology in the future. So primary school is the utmost important, I would say. Some people even started sending kids for tuition classes in kindergarten in Singapore just to prepare them for primary school. So I believe in Singapore, a lot of parents place a lot, very strong emphasis on primary school education. Yeah. Answered your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Any more?
And any questions, please?
Yeah, I just want to add on. Actually, here, PSLE, the first milestone for the child, it became like a big political, socio-economic, whatever you call, the whole structure, whole thing depends on the PSLE, how it depends. Even though the government trying to change, actually from past 2 years, they have been changing radically actually. But how it actually defines, I will tell you. Based on the P6 marks, PSLE exam, they will conduct. Then, based on the marks, they will give the secondary school. Okay. Whereas to go to the primary school, they go with the school to distance ratio. Like first within 1 kilometer from that school, particular school, the child can enter into the school. Okay. Then next is the 1 to 2 kilometers. That's how they will give the seat for the primary school. But when it comes to secondary school, they only purely based on the marks which they obtained in the PSLE system, in the exam, main exam. So why it is important? Because here the government says, keep on saying all schools are good schools. They are, why they are telling? In India nobody tells all schools are good schools. Why they end up saying that is, from past 30 years there has been some disturbances in the economy or the social structure. It depended on the PSLE exam. How is simple. Example, you might know Raffles institution. Raffles, everybody knows Raffles. I know here, whoever are listening. So to go to that particular secondary school, okay, the person who wants to send the child to the Raffles institution, a Raffles secondary school, Raffles girls school, the parents spend a lot of money to send the children to the tuition so that they get the very good marks. Only with the very good grades they can enter into the Raffles school. There are schools like top schools, second tier, like neighborhood schools, and the average schools like that. Even though it was not defined by the Ministry of Education, everybody knows. Meaning, the girl from a Raffles girls school will definitely settle down in the life easily. As simple as that. Okay? Meaning, your secondary school will define you where you end up, where you're going to get the job. Your primary school leaving exam, PSLE exam, will give you the definition where you will go. Which secondary school? From which secondary? Once you enter some schools, you don't even know. Some schools, when they enter into SJI, oh, SJI kid, he will definitely will be successful. It's like that. In India, we don't have that. Actually, the government understood where it went wrong. So they're trying to fix it. They're actually trying to fix the problem. Because this difference of the schools created a bigger issue than they imagine. Every country has some drawbacks. This is one drawback. But the system itself is good. But the impact it gave, especially for the underprivileged ones, I feel still, even though like teacher Cadient, who is helping like underprivileged children, like giving the tuition, there are still many children out there who couldn't able to go to a good tuition or couldn't able to afford, then they end up losing the opportunity to go to a good school because everything is based on the marks. The marks who are getting, the privileged ones are getting. That they understood only after 30, 40 years of the difference they came across. Now they are trying to fix it in some way, like removing the more exams. But I don't think they are going to go away with the PSLE exam. Because majority people, especially this younger generation, like Canadian teacher, like dual income families, majority of them can able to give the children, if at all they have the children. Most of them, they do not want to have the children. That's another big issue. But if at all they have the children, they are trying their best to give the child the good education so that they don't need to worry for the future. The other thing, just now you are asking Dr. G, you are asking about this thing, how important the parents feel. Like teacher Kadian said, the most important education everybody feels is the primary school education. Also, you don't believe if I tell this, teacher Kadians also can confirm P5 and P6, right? The dual income parents, one of them take the break from their careers to sit with the child, to spend time with the child, so that the child will won't have the stress about the exam. They will take break from their careers. They forget about their job and everything. Only one person will work. They do that only for this P5 and P6 exams, especially P6. During the child P6 years, many parents quit their jobs purely for this one exam. You should understand how important is this exam. When I say this, yes, Kadian, you can share, like maybe how many parents would have quit their jobs during this crucial years of primary education. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
I agree with Suma. Like some families, they do such things, like quitting their jobs, like become a single income family just to coach their children, to pass this primary school PSLE, and then when they get into secondary school, they continue with their careers again. Yeah, it is true. But of course, for families who are willing to pay, they will pay the kids to go for so many tuition classes. I I I have once taught this kid who went tuition for 7 days a week until the end of PSLE. Yeah, so I was also one of the tutor, and apart from receiving tuition from me, he also go to tuition centers over the weekends, and even have during the holidays also go for tuition camps. So it's just a lot of emphasis placed on PSLE itself for Singaporeans, Singaporean parents. I would say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Cadient, I have a question here.
Yes.
See, it all appeared that it's all that PSLE examination and this kind of perfectionism in the society, where the kids has to go through a lot of pressurized atmosphere to pass out the, you have to, they should get the good marks in the PSLE examination, and based on that their schooling and secondary education will be decided. So parents are in much stress, like they have to leave their jobs and support the kids education. So philosophically, is it not creating a kind of pressurized atmosphere? And how the are there any you know as a teacher, do you find much stress in yourself and parents and teacher and even kids? So what kind of this kind of perfection, of course it is needed, but the end of the day, for to get a job there, don't you think this kind of becoming a rat race there?
Okay, just to summarize what I think your question is, you're asking whether how students feel about pressure like this, and how can we help them with the pressure, and do you think such pressure is necessary? Am I right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I definitely agree that a lot of students are facing a lot of pressure. Okay, there are even students in secondary school that I know are actually consulting psychiatrists. Yeah, just because of examinations and all the other stress that is around it. And of course, examination itself is stressful. And peer pressure is also one of the things that students are actually facing. So let's say, for example, if you're in a class of 30 students, 25 of them are scoring 85 and above, and you are the handful who score like 50. In schools, though you may think that they are like primary school students aged 7 to 12, they do discriminate as well, you know. Yeah, so being in such environment is stressful for students. So that's why schools sometimes they have they do have counselors. Okay, it's whether students wants to open up. Yeah, and of course, I also believe that parents have to come in when they observe something is not right with the child. You know, maybe they don't look the same, they don't talk similarly. You know, it's like what they expect them to. Because I do know that certain child, as in I came across personal experience, they really face stress to the extent they start hurting themselves, like they will just hurt themselves and then they will hide, you know. So a lot of times as parents they don't see. So as tuition teacher, when I spoke to the child, I see the wounds on their hands, you know. Then I asked what happened. Then they told me it's like very stressful and all. Then I asked, do you seek help? Do your parents know about it? Most of them they'll say no. They just want to hide it from their parents, because I guess it's very difficult. So in Singapore, or even all around the world, okay, parents should put in more emphasis and to find out more on their kids, instead of like leaving them to outsource teachers or so. Yeah. So of course eventually the kid did get some help. So I mean, that's after she got into some trouble. Yeah. So the parent found out after she got into some trouble, and then like they finally give her some help, but how well it will go, we won't know, so pressure definitely, yeah, but apart from what the teachers can do, parents have to sit in as well. So I don't think I can give you a definite correct answer for pressure,
Yeah.
something like this. But I would just say we have to raise our awareness. We have to observe more as teachers in school, as tuition teachers. It's like whatever help I can, I'll just give my very best. Yeah, this is what I can do on my part, but I'm not so sure about other parents. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Srivarnika. I am in grade 5. I would like to thank Cadient fam for taking time to join us all the way from Singapore. As we move forward on our educational journey, we carry the knowledge and the skills you have so lovingly equipped with us with commitment, inspire us to reach the stars. And closing on behalf of all the participants, I extend our deepest thanks to you. Thank you, ma'am. Terima kasih. Shie.
谢谢. Terima kasih. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you. Yes.
Few words, ma'am. Thank you all for your active participation and valuable contribution today. As we wrap up, I would like to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to each of you for taking the time to join us and share your insights. Your engagement and discussions have greatly enriched our meeting and have been instrumental in driving forward in simplified way. A special thanks to Cadient Garu for her invaluable input. Your expertise and perspectiveness have truly made a difference in our discussions. I'd also like to acknowledge the efforts of Sumagaru involved in organizing this meeting. Your hard work behind the scenes has ensured that everything ran smoothly. If you have any further thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you, one and all.